Chris. It's great to see you, and it's always great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to chat with you here today. I'm very excited about it.
Can you tell us a little more about CW Hayden and your business and how you got started with the company? And you have grown over the ranks, and it's very impressive. Can you talk us through your journey and also about CW Hayden?
Yeah, so CW Hayden is a third generation owned family company. We're an industrial and safety supply distributor selling sandpaper, tapes, adhesive, safety supplies to, primarily manufacturing, but we do also sell to some hospitals and some other types of facilities. Really, anybody who's willing to buy from us will gladly sell to them. I've been with the company 16 years. I started 16 years ago actually working in our warehouse, picking orders, packing orders, doing deliveries. And over the years, I kind of just worked my way up through, to marketing positions and inside sales positions and outside sales positions. And, today I find myself running all the day-to-day operations for the company. So I've kind of experienced every angle of the business.
That's very impressive, Chris, starting from the bottom and right at the warehouse and going up to doing multiple things. Phenomenal and very inspiring as well. Talking about the distribution, you guys are also a 3M distributor, and you recently also started selling on the 3M marketplace. Can you talk about that, and can you talk about your 3M partnership?
Yeah, so we've got a very close partnership with 3M. We're a platinum distributor. I think we're one of 4 or 5 in the country. They represent a large percentage of our business. They came to us about 3 or 4 months ago as they had this idea about their marketplace. Think of it as 3M's own Amazon, so to speak. So people can go to 3m.com, search for a product, they can buy it, but then they can choose who they wish to buy from. It's a new model. It's nothing we've really ever seen before from a manufacturer. We had to build out integrations between the two systems so they could talk. That's where DCKAP came in. We've been live on it for about 3 weeks so far, and it's worked great. It's been pretty seamless. And they're just getting started. They're looking to expand. We're already talking about expanding to some more products, but it's good. And I think it really could be a platform for what's to come from other manufacturers as well.
That's very interesting. And one thing I love about 3M is their ability to experiment and keep innovating and keep trying new things. And I'm really glad that you guys are ahead of the curve there. And thanks also for being a DCKAP and Cloras customer. We are very excited to be working with you. Can you talk about the integration piece of things on how you're leveraging Cloras for the integration between the 3M marketplace and maybe your ERP, which is Profit 21?
Yeah, I know. It's basically what has to happen is we're Epicor Profit 21 backend. And it has to be able to communicate with 3M's backend system, which is a marketplace app called Miracle. And we have to send data to Miracle, inventory levels, pricing, specific products that are eligible to be sold on there, because not all are. And then once the order hits, then the order information has to come back. The customer information, everything else, so that we can then turn around and ship the product to the customer. It's been flawless so far. I don't usually throw that word around, and you don't say that very often with integrations. A lot of times integrations, from my experience in the past, you get up and running, you're like, oh, hold on, this isn't working, that's not working. It's been incredibly seamless. And the Cloras platform is super user-friendly. Just to keep an eye on things, maintain things, obviously any of the hard programming, that stuff you guys handle, but am I able to log in there and see, make sure things are flowing correctly? It's very intuitive and easy to use. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you for the great feedback, Chris. We are very excited with the Cloras platform because of the team behind it. And the platform is just as good as the team, and super excited working with her Cloras team. And CW Hayden has always been an early adopter of technology, and you always try new things. Can you talk us through the thought process behind that?
Yeah, we're definitely a small business, and if you're our kind of thought process, philosophy, if you want to call it, is if you wait for everyone else to do it, then you're behind. It's easy for big companies to play catch up. It's hard for smaller companies to play catch up. So, we do a lot of work with big companies. We see where they're kind of thinking of going, and we don't wait. We just kind of jump into it. We've been on a Profit 21 ERP system, since the mid 90s. I think our first computer software system we ever had was set up in the early 80s. At that point, it wasn't very commonplace to have computers. It was more everything done, paper and pen and filing cabinets and all that sort of stuff. We've evolved technology over the years, whether it's evolving our ERP system. In the early 2000s, we actually went to a digital filing cabinet. So to get rid of having 800 drawers of filing cabinets, that all got digitized back then. Our first website, I think we actually developed, it was just a static website, but it was in the later part of the 90s. Epicor offered their very first B2B website, is what they called it, in probably 2003, 2004. We were one of the first adopters of that platform. And then in the later part of the 2000s, Magento started to get very popular, Magento 1. We had a custom integration created to go between Profit 21 and our Magento website. We've actually upgraded our website twice since then, just to try and stay ahead of things. And that's just kind of our philosophy. We're a small company, but we're on Salesforce because we see the power of it. We've got an integration that connects the two as well. A lot of small businesses our size, they're trying to just get by on a free piece of software or an Excel spreadsheet, but there's benefits of technology. And if you're willing to invest in them, especially early on, you get your return pretty quick.
That's some great advice for distributors out there, where you try different things. You talked about Salesforce, and that's one of the early Profit 21 customers for you, CW Hayden. So that's pretty cool. And how do you see the future of the distribution industry changing with the advent of marketplaces? And what about the standalone sites?
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, especially when we're dealing with the large manufacturers such as 3M, I think the marketplaces could become a very important part of your business. I think we're still in the infancies a little bit, and it's hard to say for sure how it's going to work out, but it's definitely promising. In terms of the standalone sites or like our own personal site, I think there's always going to be a place for those. It'll be interesting to see how it develops over time with technology, because our website, we process several $100,000 a month through it. A lot of it is existing customers who use it as a tool to place their orders. And for us, it's great because they place it online, it goes to the system, done, prints in our warehouse, the guys ship it, as opposed to a customer calling in, placing the order, over the phone, we have to enter it. For us, it's a huge tool. So I don't see those going away. It'll be interesting to see how they evolve, as technology continues to evolve. And it'll be a fun ride, I think, over the next, 5 to 7+ years as we kind of see what happens next. If anything, the last couple of years has taught us is that when need be, technology can accelerate at paces we don't expect. So I think there's going to be a lot of change in the next handful of years, but I think there's going to be a place for both of them as we move forward.
Yeah, it's not one or the other; it's everything together.
Yeah, I think with technology, you have to take a kind of a full cycle approach to it. If you kind of pigeonhole yourself and just one day you're going to say, I'm just going to do marketplaces, or I'm just going to do a website, or I'm just going to do outside salespeople. Or just one of them, I think you're going to pigeonhole yourself. The companies that can find kind of a holistic approach to doing it all together, I think, are the ones that are really going to benefit in the years to come.
What are your thoughts on Amazon? How does it help or affect your business?
So far, we run into sporadic competition issues with it here and there, but it hasn't really affected us much from a B2B standpoint in terms of competition, because every now and then customers can find maybe a product at a better price, or they've got it, but it's not consistent. The pricing doesn't stay consistent. The availability is not as always consistent. So, and when they have an issue, when they have a problem, they need help with a solution, trying to figure out how to, stick two things together, or what's the best way to, sand something down. Amazon doesn't help with those sort of things, and that's where we come in, and bring the personal touch to it. So as for selling on Amazon, we've dabbled in a little bit. It's a tough place to try and sell, just because the markets and the way everything works. But I think that's where 3M got the idea for the marketplace, and I think you're gonna see more companies kind of build off from it as time goes on.
And what advice would you give for other distributors watching this to improve their online presence?
Don't wait. I think it's easy, and it doesn't take very long to get left behind, and then it gets really expensive all at once to try and get caught back up. If you constantly are progressing and kind of building your way up, the costs don't seem as astronomical as if you do nothing, and then 5 years from now you're like, oh, I got to have a new website, I got to have it integrated, I got to have this, I got to have that. So don't wait. I think there's definitely some people in our industry out there who think that, oh, I've got outside sales guys, it's worked for 30, 40, 50 plus years, it's going to continue to work, and they're content with that. I think companies like that are going to find themselves in trouble, in the next decade or so, if they don't start to evolve from a technological standpoint nowadays.
Yeah, don't wait. That's great advice.
A lot of companies that not even I deal with, but like when I go to product training or just different training things, and I talk to them, you got a lot of distributors who in our world kind of get themselves pigeonholed into one corner. And, a lot of times the people at the top don't want to make changes because they say, well, it's worked. I think there's going to be a lot of companies that may find themselves in trouble over the next, 10, 15, 20 years because they don't adapt.
And I always like to end with this question. Chris, what book are you reading right now?
So typically I'm not a big book reader. I'm more of I guess we can call it an article reader. I'm always reading articles on our industry, technology-wise, just to try and figure out what's new, what's happening. I did recently start reading a book called "What the Heck is EOS?" It's about a management process. I'm early on in it, but so far it takes a kind of the same approach as we just talked about the integrations, but to the management process, empowering your employees, basically to make the company better, but also make management's life easier as well. Our IT company that we deal with, they're really big into it. It's like the core of their philosophy. So they recommended reading up on it. So I've started doing that.
That's awesome, Chris. I'm actually reading this book, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. And it's a really cool book. And I got it at the Round Rock, Texas Public Library.
Yep.
And it talks about teamwork and how he built a great team, which led him to presidency. But it's really cool. And
yeah, I think a lot of things you read, even the book I'm reading, it's about teamwork. And if you can bring your group together so everyone's on the same page, operating in the same direction, I think that's a key for success with any business.
That's a great way to end it, Chris. Teamwork works. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for having me.